What if I told you there's a moment in your financial life where your money starts working so hard, it outpaces anything you could ever earn from your job? It sounds like a fantasy, like something reserved for lottery winners or tech founders, but it's not. It's math. I learned this the hard way. In my early 20s, I had a coworker named Mike. Same job title, same salary, but somehow he took 3 vacations a year, drove a newer car, and never seemed stressed about bills. Meanwhile, I was budgeting every cent and still feeling like I was stuck in quicksand. I used to think he was just lucky, until the day he casually mentioned that his investments had made more last year than his paycheck. That floored me. Here I was, grinding out 50-hour weeks while his money was quietly clocking in a full-time income, without the early alarms, endless meetings, or Sunday night dread. That was the moment I realized there's a point where the relationship between you and your money flips completely. The bad news, most people never get there. The good news, there are 3 predictable tipping points where this shift happens. And once you cross them, your net worth starts growing like it's been injected with rocket fuel. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those tipping points are, how to recognize them, and how to get there faster than you think. And when you see what's possible, you might never look at your paycheck the same way again. All right, let's talk about what I call the fantasy versus the grind. When you first decide to get serious about building wealth, it's almost impossible not to dream big. You picture yourself waking up without an alarm, maybe sitting on a balcony somewhere warm, sipping coffee while your investments quietly make you richer in the background. That's the fantasy, and it's a powerful motivator in the beginning. So you start taking action. You're cutting back on takeout, setting up automatic investments, watching those deposits hit every month. And at first it feels exciting, like you're finally in control. But then, the numbers don't seem to budge. Months pass, and the growth is barely noticeable. The market dips, and suddenly you're back where you were weeks ago. You run the numbers and realize your investments made about enough to cover a dinner out. Not exactly life-changing. This is the grind. It's the stage nobody really prepares you for it, where you're doing everything right, but the results feel painfully slow. And here's the hard truth. In these early years, the market isn't doing much of the work. You are. You're the one pushing the wheel, putting in the effort, and carrying most of the weight. And this is where so many people give up. They see the slow progress and assume it's not working. But the reality is, this stage is building the foundation for everything that comes later. The habits, the discipline, the base capital. This is the stuff that makes the explosive growth possible. The fantasy might get you started, but the grind is what proves you're ready for what comes next. All right, now let's get into the first big milestone I call the first handoff. This is the moment your money finally starts pulling its own weight. When your investments make more in a year than you add to them yourself. And I'm telling you, this one shift completely changes how you see your portfolio. In the early years, you're the full-time driver. Most of the growth is coming from your contributions, your paychecks, your budgeting, your sacrifices. If you stop adding fuel, the car basically stalls. But at the first handoff, something flips. You're still contributing, but now your money is actually outperforming you. It might not feel dramatic in the moment, but it's a massive psychological win. Up until now, you've been thinking, if I stop working, this whole thing slows down. But now, even if you didn't add a single dollar this year, your portfolio would still grow by more than you could ever contribute on your own. It's like running a relay race where for the first time, you get to pass the baton to someone who's faster than you, and they just keep sprinting. That's your investments now. They've got momentum, they've got speed, and they're finally starting to do the heavy lifting. Here's why this matters so much. It's proof that compounding isn't just some theory you read in a finance book. It's real, and it's working in your life. And from this point forward, the math starts to tilt in your favor. Every year, your money's salary gets bigger, and you're no longer the only one showing up to work. The first handoff is the turning point where the grind starts paying you back, and it sets the stage for something even more exciting. All right, this next one is where things start to feel really exciting. I call it the salary clone. This is the moment your investments earn as much in a year as you do at your job. And the first time it happens, it's honestly a little surreal. You check your portfolio at the end of the year, and the growth, just the growth, matches your paycheck. Suddenly, it's like you've got a twin working the same job you do, earning the same income. Except this twin doesn't get tired, doesn't complain, and definitely doesn't spend their earnings on impulse buys. The emotional shift here is huge. You stop feeling trapped by your paycheck. You start realizing you have options. That toxic job you've been tolerating, You could walk away tomorrow and still cover your lifestyle. You could take a risk, switch careers, start a business, or negotiate your salary without that gnawing fear of, what if they say no? It's not just about the numbers, it's about confidence. Your money is no longer this static pile sitting in an account. It's an active partner in your life, generating income without your constant effort. And each year, that partner's raise outpaces yours. Salary clone is a financial milestone, but it's also a mindset milestone. It's when you start making life decisions based on what you want, not just what you can afford. And once you've experienced it, there's no going back. From here, the next leap takes you into the realm of complete independence. And that's where we're heading next. All right, now let's talk about the final and most liberating stage, financial independence mode. This is the point where your investments can fully replace your income for the rest of your life without you having to touch the principal. In other words, you could stop working tomorrow and your portfolio would continue to generate enough money to cover your lifestyle indefinitely. It's not just a number in an account, it's the feeling of waking up in the morning and knowing your bills are covered. Whether you decide to work, travel, or spend the day doing absolutely nothing. Some people hit this point in their 30s or 40s, others later. But the timing matters less than what it represents. True freedom of choice. What's surprising is how quickly the numbers move once you get here. The years of slow, uphill grinding are behind you, and compounding is now running at full speed. Your portfolio can double in size in a fraction of the time it took to build your first 100,000. And because you're only withdrawing a sustainable percentage, say 4%, the rest keeps growing, even in retirement. This is where money stops being about security and starts being about possibility. You can design your days around what excites you, not just what pays you. Work becomes optional, not mandatory. And the fear of running out fades, replaced by the confidence that your financial engine is self-sustaining. Financial independence mode isn't the end of the journey. It's the point where you finally get to choose your own path. And from here, the only limit is how big you dream. All right, let's get real for a moment. Why do most people never make it to these tipping points? It's not because they don't earn enough. It's not because the stock market doesn't work. And it's definitely not because they're just unlucky. The real reason is far simpler. They quit too soon. The early years of building wealth are slow, sometimes painfully slow. You're putting in the work, making the sacrifices, and yet the results feel microscopic. Then life throws in its curveballs, in market dips, unexpected expenses, career changes, moments of doubt. That's when most people cash out, cut back, or convince themselves they'll start again later. But later rarely comes. What they don't realize is that compounding needs time. And the most powerful growth happens at the end, not the beginning. It's like walking away from a poker table right before you were about to win the biggest hand of the night. The grind is the toll you pay to reach the part of the journey where the math finally flips in your favor. There's also the trap of lifestyle creep. Every raise gets spent, every bonus disappears, and instead of accelerating toward financial independence, people end up running in place. Without disciplined saving and consistent investing, the tipping points remain out of reach. The truth is, building wealth isn't a straight line. It's a test of patience, resilience, and the ability to keep going when the progress feels invisible. The ones who make it aren't always the ones with the highest incomes. They're the ones who stay in the game long enough to let time and compounding do their work. And that's why, if you're still in the grind right now, the most valuable thing you can do is simply not quit. Because once you break through to that first tipping point, the rest comes faster than you think. All right, here's where it all comes together. Your move. We've talked about the grind, the first handoff, the salary clone, and financial independence mode. These aren't random events. They're predictable milestones that anyone who sticks with the process long enough can reach. And once you hit them, your relationship with money changes forever. The reality is you're either moving toward these tipping points or away from them. Every dollar you save, every investment you make, every decision to stay the course during a rough market, it's all pushing you closer. And every time you pause, cash out early, or drift into lifestyle creep, you're hitting the brakes on your own momentum. So here's my challenge to you. Decide today that you're going to stay in the game long enough to see your own explosion happen. Not just for the money, but for the freedom it gives you. The freedom to choose the work you do. The freedom to say no without fear. The freedom to design your life instead of having it dictated to you. The grind is temporary. The tipping points are permanent. And the sooner you start, and the longer you stick with it, the sooner you'll be on the other side. watching your net worth grow faster than you ever imagined. Now it's up to you. What's your move?